Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever time it is for you today. I'm coming to you from beautiful Da Nang, literally 300 meters from the beach. And I have today with me one of the most recent guests that I had the pleasure of showcasing on my podcast, Patricia, or rather, Donna Patricia, coming to us from Portugal. We had a beautiful talk. So I had Patricia on my podcast about 2, 3 weeks ago, and she shared a story, the beautiful conversation. But now today we're going to talk about something that is really we're both not only passionate, but also we're actually living it, and that is living the digital nomad lifestyle. She's in Portugal. I'm in Vietnam, and I've been doing this for quite a few years. And so we're going to talk about the joys of living abroad and why she chose Portugal and what's next for her, what's next for me about lifestyle. So hopefully we can inspire and empower other entrepreneurs who are working online to go and explore the world and see, because the world is beautiful. Don't limit yourself just to the 50-mile radius that you were born, especially in today's age. It's never been easier to travel, to do work, to do business, to make money, and to have a good time. So anyways, Donna Patricia, benvenida. Welcome.
I shouldn't have
Tudo
said
bem?
that.
Como está você? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Okay, good. How's your day? You're just starting your day,
It's
right?
just starting. Yeah, it's 9 something in the morning. So
Look, tell us, where in the world are you exactly?
I am exactly in Braga, Portugal, which is in the north of Portugal, about an hour from the northern border, our northern border with Spain.
Beautiful. So, for anyone who did not watch the beautiful episode we did a few weeks ago, tell us, who's Patricia as a person, as a human being, and also what is your impact in the world? And a short summary. Because we did an entire podcast on, but today is just going to be
They'll have to
short
go
summary.
listen to that one for the whole
Yes,
story.
I'm talking about yes, yes.
Short story, I guess I'm an aerospace engineer turned astrologer, life coach, business coach. I am a mother and a grandmother.
Wow,
Yeah. And I'm a grandmother of an 11-year-old, which I still can't
amazing. I would have never guessed that. Wow,
believe. Thank you. Me
seriously.
too.
Me three, as I say.
Yeah. And I guess, my impact on the world is helping people find their right place.
Mm,
I feel like a lot of us got conditioned, you should be this, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a this, you need to, you can't make money doing that, you can only make money doing like we get all these messages, and I feel like my role is helping people unravel those messages and figure out who they really are and go live that life.
beautiful. And you did play by the plague book for the first part of your life by becoming in the corporate world and all that, and as an engineer, a space engineer and all that. So, yeah. Now, how difficult was it for you to make the transition from the lucrative career that you're in to say, you know what, that's nice, but there's more to life than just, making money. I want to follow my heart and my, how hard was it? And when you shared that with your loved one, do you think, did she lost her marble? She's going to throw all that away just for what? Is she crazy? What's wrong with you? So tell us the process that you went through and how difficult, how challenging was it for you to actually close that chapter and open a much more fulfilling chapter of your life.
Yeah, well, I might have mentioned this on the last episode, but the first day of my first job after college, I knew immediately that this was not what I was going
That's
to
not a
be.
good way to start on your career first job. Oops, what I'm getting into.
Okay, I think I made a little error there.
Can I get a
Um,
refund, please?
exactly. And that just kind of started the journey of who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Because I don't think it's this. I know it's not this, but not really knowing what it was or how to get there. And so that was a process that took years, probably, all the while kind of finding my way, like within the structure I was in, to try and find roles that maybe incorporated more of the things I enjoyed. I ended up getting a master's in psychology just because of that, probably like trying to figure it out. and then and then I heard about this thing called coaching that I thought was really cool, because it wasn't dealing with the, you know, the illness, the mental illness. It was more like, let's take someone who wants to achieve something more and help get them there, right? And so I kind of fell in love with that. All along the way, I had always had an interest in astrology and spirituality and all those kind of things. And so that was always kind of like my side, you know, hobby, I guess, like something I did along the way, but it wasn't anything I did for a living. But I always wanted it to be. I wanted to be able to just wake up, be in a place that I wanted to be in, and doing something I loved to do, and being able to support myself doing it, which
Beautiful.
I think there's a lot of us out there that feel that way. You know, it does, it, you know, sometimes it seems like a lot to ask, but it
Yeah,
also doesn't seem like a lot to ask. You know.
absolutely. What was the reaction of the people closest to you when you shared
Oh,
your views and your
yeah.
plans, what you really wanted to do?
They definitely thought I was crazy. I think my parents probably the most were, um, I think they were disappointed. You know, they paid good money to send me to college to become an aerospace engineer. And even at the time when I actually quit, I wasn't doing engineering anymore, but I was an IT management consultant. So I was basically traveling, and going to pretty big companies, to help them redo their IT department, to basically teach them how to run an IT department. And I loved the work, but the travel was
Mm.
brutal. And it was never like, I never woke up one morning in Paris, you know. It was Cleveland, Ohio, or no offense to Cleveland, but
Boise,
you know,
Idaho, places like
they weren't
this.
the places that were on my bucket list or anything, you know. So, you know, it was Milwaukee, Wisconsin in February or what.
Oh God. God.
So, you know, anyway, so I left during that time because even though I loved what I was doing, it was literally, and I remember telling my dad, because he kept saying, you have a great career, like, what are you doing? And I was like, literally, my soul is shriveling, like it's dying. And it was getting to the point that I would get on an airplane in my first class seat because I had so many points, you know, that got upgraded. And I order my champagne, you know, and while we're waiting on the tarmac or whatever, and tears are just like coming down my eyes. Like I was not happy.
Yeah.
And then it got to where that point in the process would happen earlier and earlier. So then it would happen while I'm, you know, waiting to get on the plane. Then, you know, it started happening when I was driving to the airport. Then it started happening when I was packing my bag to go. And finally, it was happening when I was literally coming back home, knowing that I just had to, all I could do this weekend was turn around, right? Like unpack my bag, wash clothes, repack, maybe see a couple friends, and then get on a plane again. And I was like, I just can't. And I called my boss, I remember, and this guy was a talker. He was like really like this vivacious. I loved him. He was the best boss I ever had. And I called him and I just said, I don't think I can do this anymore. And he said, well, what do you mean? And
I
I
mean what you
said,
just said.
I said, I think I'm quitting. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And and so I did quit. And I started really just trying to build my coaching practice at that time and taking all the marketing classes and doing all the things. And yeah, kind of, it just went from there. I
So,
don't necessarily advise that. Like, I think it's probably better if you have some sort of a little bit of a plan or.
so did you quit? So when you quit, did you already start your coaching business? You already have some business, some clients, or you had nothing?
I had an idea. I had, you know, I'm not, I can't remember now if I even had, like, I might have had a minimal email list, like with friends and family on it or something. It was very basic. Yeah, I was
Okay.
starting to kind of put together a website. Yeah, that was about all I had.
Okay. You like traveling, right?
I do like traveling.
Okay.
You?
So just a little bit, just a little bit. I was almost born on a plane, but that's a different story. No, I'm just joking. So prior to living the US, did you spend any extensive amount of time outside of the US, like living, not just vacationing or anywhere?
No, I lived vacationing, yes. But I lived really in one place. I mean, I was born in Florida. We moved to Texas when I was 6 months old. And I basically lived there except for a 6 month period in Maryland.
Mm.
And that was it until I moved to Portugal. So I always lived in the US. And but I did a lot of traveling with my family. My mom is from Turkey,
Oh,
and
wow.
we have family all over Europe. And so we would go and visit. We would just go to places where we knew people, so we could stay with
Yes.
them.
I guess you've been to Turkey, right?
I have. In fact, I was just there in May. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was in Istanbul in April. Loved the place, but it was a very spur of the moment, last minute flight. I booked my flight at 1 a.m. in the morning and I flew the next morning. So I didn't even check the weather. I arrived there. It was rainy and cold. Thank God I still had my jacket from when I left Canada in November. Otherwise, I would have frozen. But I love the place. I love the food, the people. Can't wait to go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. The food is
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
The people. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Mm. So, why Portugal? What made you choose Portugal as a place to relocate to?
So it was a combined decision because I came here with my daughter and my son-in-law and my grandson.
Mm.
We all were just kind of ready to be somewhere else. And I let my daughter lead the way, basically. But secretly, I was hoping for Europe because I
Mm.
love Europe, probably because of all my travels here as a child. I remember my first trip that I remember was to Europe. I was 9, and our first night was in Paris. And I just remember I love this place. And then a few days later, we were in Belgium, and they had Nutella on the breakfast table.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what kind of magical land is this that has chocolate for breakfast? Like,
Died and gone to heaven, right?
that's right. And so I think ever since then, I was just like, my heart was in Europe. And even on when I went on vacations, I always just wanted to go to Europe. And so I was secretly hoping for Europe, but she was looking all over. She was looking at South America, at Mexico, at New Zealand, at
Wow.
various places. And at one point, she kind of she had this stipulation that the only language she was willing to learn was Spanish because she felt like since we were in Texas, we already kind of had like a
Mm.
foundational level,
Sure.
and she really didn't want to put a whole lot of effort into something entirely new. And so I proposed Portugal to her. I didn't propose it because honestly, I didn't think she would want it because of the Portuguese language, right? I just showed her like somebody that lived here and their point of view about it. That's it. I truly did not expect that it would have any effect. I remember we're sitting on their couch. We were in Austin, Texas, watching TV. Me, my daughter, my son-in-law, my grandson was in his room or doing whatever. And I'm on my phone and I see this thing and this article praising, Portugal, how calm it is, how accepting the people are, how like is all the things they were looking for. We all were looking for. And so I pass it to her. She reads it. She doesn't say anything. She passes it to her husband. He reads it. He doesn't say anything. He passes the phone back to me. Nobody says anything. We continue watching the movie or whatever it is we're watching on TV. And that's it. And then 2, 3 weeks later, I get a phone call from my daughter, and she says, "Mom, I don't see why we shouldn't do this." And I'm like, "Do what?" I mean, by this point, I had slept. I don't know what you're talking about, And she's like, "Move to Portugal." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
All right. Meet me at the airport at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Let's go.
Basically, we just started the application process at that point, and the rest is history. And then we showed up sight unseen. None of us had actually been to Portugal
Oh,
before.
wow.
Yeah, we just got a lease ahead of time. Like it was just this like, we're doing it. We're
Adventure.
committed. We
Yeah.
did it. We landed, and we were in love from the moment we got here. There's just a vibe, I don't know. A lot of times I have these conversations with the Uber drivers, and many of them are, at least here in Braga, we have the largest immigrant population is Brazilian.
Wow.
And a lot of the Uber drivers are Brazilian. So I have a lot of conversations with them. And when we talk about Braga and Portugal and, why did you come here? And we have very similar, like, it's like, calma, calma.
Tranquilidade.
So much more.
Seguridade, safety, yeah.
Yeah,
Tranquility.
it's the safety, number one, the cost of living, the people are so accepting. You don't have these issues with, I'm sure there's the random a-hole everywhere,
Like
right?
everywhere, yeah.
But in general, like the LGBTQ community, everybody's accepting of everybody. They don't care who you are, race, gender, whatever. People will drop things and stop a stranger on the street if they see they need help. And I don't know, I feel like the US has lost a lot of that.
And same for Canada, unfortunately, yeah. So
Yeah.
you made some research about Portugal. When you landed in Portugal, did it live up to your expectation? You're completely blown away. It's completely different than what you saw in your research and on YouTube and stuff.
I don't know that I had too many expectations, or if I did, they were reasonable expectations, because I mean I have Portuguese friends that we were friends in Austin, and they actually ended up, in fact, how we ended up in Braga was because of them.
That was my next question. Why
Yes.
Braga?
I mean, that was part of it, because they weren't here yet, but they had bought their home here that they knew they were going to retire to. So that was kind of, there. And then another couple that were friends with them and me, there were like the five of us were all friends. They had already retired and moved to Braga, knowing that our other friends were going to someday be there. And so when my daughter, when she was, again, I was leaving it up to her to decide. So even once Portugal, it was like, okay, where in Portugal? And she had requirements, like she wanted an international school for my grandson. She wanted a lower cost of living. So Lisbon was immediately out, she started in the bottom corner of the Algarve, like right at the Spanish border. And she worked her way across, the bottom of Portugal, went up the coast. And finally she's like, Porto, it's gonna be Porto. I'm like, okay, great. It's like 30 kilometers from my friends, blah, 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 it's fine. And then I asked her, I said, why are you not considering Braga? Because it's even lower cost than Porto. It's not so big, it's like big enough that it has everything, but small enough that you feel like it's just calmer and more comfortable. And she's like, because it's too religious. And so if you know anything about Braga, it's known as like the Catholic epicenter of Portugal.
Really?
It has all the archbishops or whatever are here. Every other corner, not even every other, like every corner and in between is a church or a cathedral. There's religious festivals like all the time. But, and I kept telling her, it's not like religion in the US, I said, it's more cultural. Nobody would be stopping you in the grocery store because they didn't see you go to mass on Sunday and tell you you're going to hell. Like nobody's going to do
They
that.
do that in the US?
Oh my gosh, that happened to me. Yeah, my neighbor literally came around the corner in the grocery store aisle and held my shopping cart and started telling me I was going to hell. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I told her there's none of that. And she didn't believe me, right? So my Portuguese friends got involved and they said, why don't you come over for dinner one night and we'll answer any questions. And so we did that. And so my Portuguese friend, she's like, when the religion question came up, she goes, look, the only people that are really religious and are like, into it are the little old ladies, and she kind of even like made fun, like she put her little
Yes,
scarf on.
yes, yeah, all covered,
They
yes.
have their rosary and they're just in the church praying and they don't care about you. They're not going to
Mhm.
talk to you. They're just going, they're doing their thing. And the festivals are just an excuse to drink and eat food and have a parade and have fireworks. Like
Yes.
it's not, it's just not the same. And so when she heard it from them, she was convinced. And so yeah, so then it became Braga and here we are. And yeah, and I think you asked me how we felt, right? Was that your question?
Yeah, did it live up to your expectation from what
Yeah,
you?
my expectation. Yeah, so I think I already kind of had some, like just knowing from my friends, we watched YouTube videos all the time. So we kind of got, the mixed review, like people had opinions. And so we kind of saw a lot of it ahead of time. I feel like we didn't come in with this idea because I don't think it's for everyone, honestly. It's, I think it's got the lowest was it GNP?
GDP?
Yeah, like it's the poorest country in Europe,
With
right? Like,
Greece, yes. Yeah, yeah.
or great, yeah. So it's down there. And so, like we drive around and we see like abandoned buildings and there's a wornness to it. Like, it's
How
not
is safety?
huh?
How is safety because of the
I feel so safe. I walk around at night. I walk around by myself at night. I have never felt any kind of
mm.
threat or anything.
Do you
The scariest I say that I felt was one time I had dropped someone off at the Porto airport and their flight was like at 5 or I'm sorry 6 in the morning, and so I got back to Braga like by 5 in the morning, and so I was at the bus stop walking to my apartment, which I basically have to walk from the north part of the town center down to the south part of the town center. And it was creepy only because there was literally nobody out. I saw one police officer standing in front of the Bank of Portugal. And then a little further, I saw one guy with a delivery van delivering something like to a restaurant or something, and me. We were the only people. And so I wasn't afraid necessarily, but it felt really weird, like the end of the world. Or
sure,
only people left or something.
sure. Tell us about Braga. I will admit I don't know anything about Braga. So is it like close to the sea? Is it more on the countryside? Is it more like what's the geographical structure of it?
Yeah, it's well, I think it's probably the equivalent climate wise, at least so I've heard, to the Pacific Northwest in the US.
Okay.
So a lot of
Does it
forest,
snow? Does it get cold in the winter?
not snow. The winters are very much like a Texas winter where it's maybe, I'm going to do Fahrenheit because it's easier, but they're, like in the maybe it'll get to freezing, but
Oh wow.
not, and maybe a little, it's not, but not like I don't see minus, you don't see minus degrees here. So it might be around freezing. Like the last few nights, it's been just slightly above freezing. So it might be in the 30s, 40s, even
It's not
Fahrenheit.
Milwaukee, Chicago, Toronto.
No,
Okay,
nothing like any of those. Not
okay.
at all. But it does rain. It rains here quite a bit,
Oh yeah.
especially in the winter. So
It's on the
like
sea,
this,
right? It's on the
we
sea?
have sunshine. You can see it. It's
Oh
been
yeah.
like
Oh yes.
sunshine, but before that was like 2 weeks of rain. So, but that's why it's all green too,
Mm. And Braga
so.
is on the sea, right?
No, well, we're 30 kilometers.
Okay. How are the beaches? Are they like sandy, rocky?
They're rocky. Yeah, they're not real sandy. There's a few, you can find some up the coast a little and down the coast a little, you can find some that are sandier, but if you go directly, what is that? West from Braga and hit the sea there, it's a little rockier and
How
cold. The
how do you
water's
like?
cold.
Yeah, yeah. Can imagine. How do you like and enjoy the food, the Portuguese food?
Do I have to be honest?
Please.
I am not a fan.
Why?
Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, I don't eat a lot of meat.
Mm,
Before I moved here, I didn't eat it at all. And I've blurred the edges on that just because otherwise I wouldn't be able to eat in a restaurant. Um, so it's meat and potatoes and rice. Like that's the standard.
fish,
There's fish too, but the cod, I'm sorry. I
bacalhau.
don't,
Yes, yes. Too salty, too dry.
it's
Yes, yes.
it's tough. It's like eating the bottom of someone's shoe. I don't care how you cook it. I just don't get the fascination with any of it. Like I
Mm,
told somebody the other day, if I never eat another Portuguese meal, I won't feel
really?
like I missed out on anything. It's bland. They don't like spice at all.
Oh,
In
no.
fact,
Oh, okay, okay. No taste.
if
Okay, I
you
see.
put
Yeah.
a little black pepper on something, a Portuguese person will be like, oh,
Oh, wow. No, I can't. I can't. I need my food to be spicy and flavorful.
and all of us Americans, especially those of us from Texas, are like, where is the spice? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
I'm just not a fan. It's fine. It's not like bad. Like it's not like, whoa, I can't eat it. It's just why? Like it's boring. It's
So how do
boring.
you survive? Do you mostly cook or do you go to
Yeah, I go to the
non-Portuguese
market.
restaurants?
You can find vegetables at the
Market.
market, the
Mm,
supermarket. They're there. They exist. They just don't make it to the Portuguese restaurants. And
mm,
so I cook a lot of vegetables at home. And when I go out, they're starting to pop up a few more places that at least have some options.
mm.
Um, but I miss my big salads, like in the States, you could order like so many fascinating salads with the whole kitchen sink in there, right? And here, that just doesn't exist. And in fact, you have to specify that you want a vegetarian salad
Mm.
because otherwise it's going to have some kind of slab of meat on top of it. Yeah. So, so yeah, I'm struggling a little with the food, I'll say.
No, I hear you. Um,
And you know what? Just to be fair, it might be different in the South in
yes,
all
each region
right.
has its own cuisine.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
I'm in the area where, it's the Iberian Peninsula, kind of like where Spain, it's that Iberian pork and like beef and pork and that's
If you go to the
it.
south, of more of the Moorish, and North African influence with
Yeah.
more like
Yeah.
African, Middle Eastern type of food. Yes,
Exactly.
yes. Awesome. How are the people?
The people are the best. They're kind, they're helpful, um, they're friendly, but so the interesting thing, if I can almost tell if someone is without talking to them, if they're Brazilian or Portuguese,
Really? Wow. How?
because the Portuguese are very polite, they're very
Um,
kind, but there's a bit of a,
distant,
like they're not that like
overly,
forward, I guess.
overly
Where
friendly. Yeah, warm. Okay, yeah.
they're much more exuberant. Oh, you're from the United States, from Texas. Oh, I've been there. Oh, no. Like they want to know your whole life story. Like there's all that going on. And the
I
Portuguese are
guess me having lived in Brazil, I would say it depends on where the Brazilian is from. If it's from the north, yes. From the south, less.
oh interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The south,
Okay.
the south of Brazil is pretty much like Northern Europe. You see tall, blonde people with
Really?
the northern characteristic, whereas the south and the north, sorry, is more outgoing, more warm
Yeah.
and friendly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting.
Okay. I might have to revise my
Oh, it's okay. Wow,
analysis.
amazing. That's interesting. How do the people, the local react when they find out you're American?
Um, they are usually really excited.
Mm.
Yes, they get very excited. And then they want to know immediately. The next question is which state they want to know. And then sometimes when you say Texas, they get very excited because I think they've heard of it and they think like cowboys and, like they have this image. I get that a lot. Unfortunately, that's a little bit too true right now, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, they get really excited, and very often then they're like, I want to go there, I want to go there, and they, that's my dream. And and then if you ask like, okay, well, where do you want to go, where do you think they say?
Which
Which
part of the US? New
yeah.
York, California, Los Angeles. These are the two most common.
New York.
New York or Los Angeles, yes.
Yeah.
Miami, those three
Yeah, no,
places.
they don't mention any. I've never heard anything but New York from any of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So did you at any time, because that's one of the thing that are holding back a lot of people that I talk to, especially from the US, and also the media, overblows that at times say, hey, be careful. There can be, a anti-American resentment against sometimes. Did you at any time experience that people, not being friendly to you because you're American, just for the people that are looking to go abroad, but they might be worried about that, just to reassure those people?
I mean, I personally have not. I
Mhm.
have heard stories where um like more like with landlords that will make the rent higher,
Oh
or
yeah.
if right, like that sort of a thing.
Mm.
I like a friend of my daughter's, one of the other mothers from the school my grandson goes to, had that happen. And when she said something about it, he said, well, you're American, you can afford it.
That's crazy. Wow.
And it's like, not all of us are,
Yeah.
like some of us came here because we can't afford the
That's
US.
right. That's right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then the only other time, I wouldn't even say it was like that. It was just when my daughter and I were opening bank accounts. The guy was just, I think a lot of people don't like, they're always like, why Braga? Like, or why
Why
did you choose
Portugal? Why do you leave the US?
Portugal? Like, they don't understand, they want it, they're curious, right?
Mm.
And so we kind of were telling him why. And then he goes, well, why didn't you pick a country that has more money? And like Spain or something like,
They don't
and
understand.
finally he was asking so much, kind of like, why did you come here? Basically, but not in a, I think he was just
They're
genuinely.
curious. Yes, yes, yes.
And finally my daughter goes, do you want us to leave? And he's like, no.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So
Amazing, amazing. How long have you been there now?
I can't believe it's already going on a year and a half now, I think.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Was it easy for the visa to stay long term?
Um, yeah, I mean, once we got it, I think the stress of waiting was the most difficult part, but the actual process of getting it was not that difficult.
Did you apply
I
for
think,
it prior to arriving, or you flew
yeah,
on a visa, tourist visa, and then
have to
changed it?
apply, like we got the visa like you would normally get for the 90 days. And
Mm.
then you have to, I'm not sure I remember the process anymore, but you apply for temporary residency. And you have to, you have to do various things. You have to get an FBI, or whatever the
Background
equivalent.
check, yes, background check, police background check. Yeah.
You have to have so much money coming in. You have to show that. And it's just the Portuguese minimum wage is the requirement, which is,
How much is it?
I want to say now it's maybe like 800 euros a month, something like
Wow.
that. Yeah. And then you have to have like a year's worth in savings. So you have to
Does it
show of that.
does it, so the eight, for example, let's say the 1,000 euro, just around it, that
Yeah. Yeah.
amount, for example, does it have to be through pension, retirement, investment, or if you're working
Okay,
online
so I
remotely,
don't
for
want to
example?
give like visa advice. I'm just going to put
No,
that
no, I know,
disclaimer.
just
I
curiosity. Yes,
also
yes.
think, I think things got different during COVID,
Mm.
and then a little bit after started changing, and I think they're even different now than when I applied a year and a half ago. But at the time, it could be from anything outside of Portugal.
Mm.
So that could be, and we came in on what they call, it's a nickname, they call it the retirement visa,
Mm.
because a lot of people come in on that are retired, and so their pension or their social security or whatever is what's funding that monthly amount. My daughter works for a US company that is allowing her to work from Portugal, and so she used that.
Mm.
And then I have my own business and I used that. So it's
Oh.
some people use rental, they have maybe rental property outside of Portugal. But it could be anything that's consistent, that you can show a consistency with, and is outside of Portugal.
Does Portugal have a scheme where if you buy property that gives you, residency and eventually citizenship?
They did.
Ah,
I think they did away with it this year, the golden visa. I don't
ah,
think it ever gave you citizenship. I think there was some caveat to it, but you could, if you put in a certain amount, like either buying property or opening a business or something like that.
I think it was 250 to 500,000 euros. But I think
Yeah,
quite a few people, I will not name them, but some nationality abuse them, start with a C and
yeah,
end with an E,
yeah.
from Asia. I'm not going to say anything else. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah. Wow. Back to food. How is is there a lot of selection of variety in terms of different cuisines available in Braga? Let's say one day you want to eat Chinese or Korean
There's
or
a certain amount,
whatever.
nothing like in the US, but we definitely we have some Asian, we have a couple of Thai places, we have a pretty decent Chinese place. There's I know of one Indian place, but somebody else said there's a new one in town, so I haven't
Wow.
tried it. There's a couple of Mexican places, but being from Texas, you just have to go in not expecting what you're like. If you order enchiladas, it's not going to look like enchiladas that you're used to.
That can be a business opportunity for you guys. Maybe open like a Tex-Mex or a Texas
People have
barbecue
mentioned
barbecue style, place. You guys are famous for barbecues.
actually, oh, okay. There is a really good barbecue place.
Mm,
The couple, they're Portuguese, but they lived in Austin, Texas
mm.
for 5 years, and they fell in love with it, and they loved the barbecue, and they came back and they opened. There's one in Porto and one here in Braga, and they opened a
Oh,
barbecue place. And so every once in a while, we go to get our little fix of taste of home kind of a thing. So yeah.
awesome. So now let's talk about cost of living. So roughly, for example, for me, I'm a single guy. If I were to move to Braga, for example, how much would I need to have a comfortable lifestyle? By comfort, I don't mean luxury, just my own apartment and a safe place within walking distance to restaurants, to places, just to have uh, one thing that is non-negotiable. I need to have reliable, fast internet. And of course, safe and, just the
Okay.
basics.
Internet is fine. I
Mm.
mean, I have fiber, and so I'm doing well. And safety, I already mentioned, not a problem. Um, okay, I think it really just depends how simply you want to live or not. I would say maybe a good average where you feel really comfortable and you can I'm just trying to think. If you're single, I'm gonna say 2,000 a month.
$2,000 or euros, pretty much the same, I guess.
Dollars. Or
Okay.
well, yeah, euros.
Okay,
Maybe euros.
that's a good amount. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I might be, it just depends what you want to do too,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
If it's just what are your basic expenses, then you could probably if you're not counting traveling or doing things.
I'm not a partier, so I don't go, party or
Okay.
anything. Once a week, go out with friends for drinks and just
Okay. You could
regular
probably do
thing.
it for even less then.
Yeah.
Um, you could probably, if you want, yeah, because if you find a smaller place,
Mm,
you could do it for less,
okay.
maybe
Interesting.
12, so 15.
Regarding the weather, what's the best time of the year to be in Braga?
Mm. I think any time of year, I love Braga. I just
Yeah.
love all the changing of the seasons. But as far as not being too hot or not being too cold, I would say probably that kind of spring, April, May, even into June. We do get some hot, nothing like Texas, but we've hit 100 something
Yeah, in the
over the
summer.
summer, but it never lasts it lasts a few days, maybe a week. where, you know, in Texas, it's 6 months. So I'm fine with that.
It's the opposite of Canada, you know. We freeze for 6 months,
Yeah,
you melt for 6 months, you guys. So
yeah.
what's the nearest good beach to Braga?
Okay. So the the nearest beach is Sposend, which is directly east. It's got a little portion south of it. I've seen it from, like, if you go into the town center, you're actually kind of on the mouth of a river. But
Mm,
across the river, kind of south of the town, there's a nice little sandy stretch. So there's that. There's one I haven't been to, but people have told me north of that. And it starts with a C. Aminia or something like that. I'd have to look it up, but I've heard really good things about that one.
mm.
So yeah, there's a couple. And then I think even like just outside of Porto, um,
What's the nearest big city to you guys?
Porto.
How far is it?
It's like a 40-minute drive.
Oh, wow, pretty close.
Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day when I lived in Houston, that was literally how long it took me to get from my house to the airport in Houston. So
Same thing in Toronto, like an hour each way.
yeah.
That was outside the rush hour. Rush hour is 2 hours, but that's
Oh my
after
gosh.
hours. Yeah. Toronto is massive. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So what's next for you guys? Are you planning to set up shop in Braga, or you want to explore Portugal, eventually Europe, and why not the world?
Yeah. Well, I don't see us leaving Braga anytime soon. My daughter and my son-in-law want to open a art studio slash gallery,
Mm,
like a space to teach classes, to show artwork, to, you know, that sort of a thing. So for me, I mean, I definitely want to travel. I did some last year. Like I told you, I went to Turkey, I went to France, I went to Spain. So I'd like to do some more of that.
mm.
But yeah, as far as we're not really the digital nomads. Like that's probably not the right term
Slow
to use.
traveler. Slow traveler.
We're like we planted ourselves in a place where we can, like, you know,
Expats. Yes.
expand out. But we
Yeah.
have a home base. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you come to Asia, let me know.
Okay,
I
we'll
love
do.
Asia. I love Asia. Ideally, for me, I would have three home bases, one in Asia, which will be
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, one in Europe, probably somewhere in the south. I grew up in the south of France, southwest, close to the Spanish border and the French Basque country. I love
Okay.
that area. So probably I love Italy. So maybe in somewhere in Italy. I wouldn't mind Portugal or Spain, and of course, a home base in the Americas, probably in Argentina and Brazil. And of course, my family's in Canada, so that's the ideal that I'm working on. Awesome. Now,
Perfect.
what was holding you back before making the move to leave the US?
My family, I really didn't want to be away from them.
Sure,
I
sure.
had in my head that if, you know, before they started looking to move, I was thinking, well, maybe when my grandson gets to an age where he's
Mm,
kind of, you know, not really hanging out with me anymore, or he's got his own group of friends, or, you know, like doesn't really need me as much anymore. I was thinking around that time, then I would probably move.
how
So
old is he now?
he's 11.
Okay. Is he with you guys now?
Yeah,
That's a perfect time, age for him to go explore the world, make new friends, learn a new language, you know? That's a great gift that you guys are giving to him.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And
He
being
was
in Europe.
very resistant. He did not want to come. I
Mm,
don't know what he had imagined. You know, he was still 9 at the time that we came, and
mm,
he probably, I think he might have imagined it was like another planet or something. I remember him telling me, you know, and he has this confidence, even as a 4 or 3-year-old, he had this confidence, like he says things like they're so true, and he knows they're true, that you almost believe it.
mm.
He we were at the shopping mall, but right before, it was the Christmas before we came, so he was 9. And he told me, he calls me Mimi. He said, Mimi, they don't have shopping malls in Portugal. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's true. I said,
The big cities, yes, maybe not in Braga.
yeah, I said, my friends live there, and they said the shopping malls are even nicer than the ones we have. Because I don't know about anywhere else, but I can say in the States, the shopping malls are dying since COVID. They're like desolate. They're,
Same in
you know,
Canada.
yeah,
They're all like copycats of each other. I
yeah.
much prefer
So
the smaller mom and pop shops. They have actually a soul, an idea, identity,
yeah,
and all.
yes. So when we were here, not even a week, and I'd taken him to the mall to I don't remember. Oh, there's like a little playground in there, and there was just, so we just went, we hung out, we were at the food court, which was, it takes up an entire floor, and it has all kinds of anything you could, it's not just,
Wow.
Burger. I mean, there is Burger King, but there's also like a nice Portuguese restaurant and a nice Italian restaurant, and so you have your, like, it's not like any food court in the US.
Mm.
And so we're sitting there, we're eating our meal, and he says, he goes, Mimi, Portugal is just like Texas. And I said, I took that as a success, because whatever he had in his mind before we got there, that it was some like place with no shopping malls and no anything, um, he realized, I think, oh, it's like like there's freeways and shopping malls and cars, and like it's just in McDonald's, and like it's just like a
Suburbs
normal,
and all that. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was like, oh, because he was so resistant, he did not want to come. But
How is this Portuguese by now?
yeah, it's not, he knows a lot of words. It's a lot of
Mm.
words, but putting them together is not. In fact, we ask him sometimes, how do you say whatever? How do you
Ah,
say, and
yeah.
spam? He'll have the word, but putting it in a sentence, he's not there yet. She's actually pulling him out of the school he was in, because she didn't think they weren't
Mm.
teaching in Portuguese like she was expecting. She had to get a tutor, and he learned more from the tutor in 1 month than he did in a year at the
Wow.
school. And so she's putting him in a Portuguese private school. So he will be immersed, and they'll assign him like a mentor, like an adult that will then help him with his schoolwork, because at first, obviously, he's not going to understand what happens in class. So he'll have like support to help him until he can kind of get on his feet. So
Wow.
hopefully it'll speed up, and if you ask me in the summer, I'll be able to tell you he's speaking Portuguese. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. And he's made some new friends, I guess. He's happy, he's enjoying.
Yeah, he made so many friends, and so that's him. He is like a little social butterfly.
Oh, that's good.
He's not, we're all introverts and kind of hold back, and he's the one going out there, and since he was a baby, like making friends with everyone he comes in
I
contact
have a
with.
feeling he's gonna blossom into something beautiful, because he's got the best of both worlds, the European culture and the American work ethic and all that. So he's in for greatness. I can see that.
I
We'll
hope
do another
so.
podcast in 10 years, okay? With him this time. With
With
him
him.
this time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, beautiful. Do you have any tips for any other families, say in Canada and the US, and whatever they may be in the Western world, that are maybe looking at their options, they're fed up and frustrated with the way their country is being run, or rather run down and ruined,
Mhm.
to go and live a more enjoyable life? What advice or tips do you have for those people?
Yeah, I think know what you want. Like,
Mm.
we had certain requirements: safety, cost of living, and health care were
Mm.
kind of the top three. Just quality of life in general. And so know what yours are. They might be different. And then go from there and do some research to figure out where that might be.
Mm.
And then I would also say, wherever it is, don't go there and try to recreate
Mm.
your
What you had
place
there?
where you came from, because I think a lot of people do that. Like, oh, well, I had this there, and how do I get that here? Or I
Yeah.
see that a lot with a lot of the immigrants that come in, and I think some of them don't last. Some of those that are trying to
Yeah.
make it little America, it's not. And that's not why you came. You came because it's not. Right?
Mm.
Like, so enjoy the difference and be flexible. I think you have to be flexible, you have to be resilient, come with maybe not too high expectations, so you're pleasantly surprised. And be open to the fact that the cultures are different, and so people act differently. Something that, you know, might be rude to you is not to them, and vice versa. And to
Yes.
go with, you're coming to their country, so acclimate to the way things are done there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that for me as a major attraction here, it's not just the savings, but the drastically elevating the quality of lifestyle. Like, for example, to put things in perspective, in Canada, I was living with family, yet I was still spending $4,000 to $5,000 a month without leaving the house in Toronto. Whereas in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, I was living my best life on $2,000. Here in Vietnam on the beach, I am struggling to spend 1,000 Canadian, which is 750 US. I cannot. I told you the apartment I had before in 10-minute walk from here, spacious, big, and downtown. I was paying 287 US a month. A month. I just found a new place, 300 meters from the beach for literally $121 a month. So, you know, the meals you can eat, if you want to eat local, $1 to $2 per meal. If you want to treat yourself, go say to Indian or whatever, you're looking $5. If you really splurge, $10. That's splurging, you know?
Yeah.
So, whereas in Toronto, even though I don't eat at McDonald's, just to give you an idea, the cheeseburger combo with no cheese is $16. With cheese is $18.
Whoa.
Yeah, you go to a basic restaurant just for lunch, just salad, meat, rice, a bottle of water. That's $30 per person.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
here that would be, you know, there's lots of the little Portuguese restaurants that have like the prato de dia, right? And it might be like the main dish, and you always get rice and you get French fries. That's the sides always,
Oh, okay.
right? I don't know why. They love their carbs. So you get some meat, whatever you ordered, a little ball of rice, some French fries, a soup of the day, which is always like a cream vegetable soup, and then a dessert and wine. And you could find that for like 10 euros.
Sweet. Wow.
They might up it to 15 during tourist season. I noticed that. Like,
Well, that meal in Toronto would be easy, $25, $30.
yeah.
Minus the half the year you can't even go out, but it's a different
Yeah.
story. Yeah, wow.
And talk about struggling to spend, like if you like wine, to spend, like if you spend 10 euros on a bottle here, you're getting some fancy wine. And honestly, even the €3 bottles are really good.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised when I was in Milano last year. I couldn't believe it in the supermarket. There were a bottle of wines for like literally €2, €3. I couldn't
and
believe
they're good, right? They're good.
I didn't try those, but I was just wow. Yeah.
I mean, here they are. They're maybe not the best, but they're
Yeah.
not either, right? But yeah, if you spend 10 euros on a bottle, it's like, ooh, you're getting fancy.
In Toronto, a starter basic garbage bottle is like $10, $15. A really good one is $30, $40.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy there. But wow. So for you, by moving from Texas to Braga, by how much did you not only slash your cost of living, but by what percentage? I don't know if you can quantify that. Did you elevate the quality of your lifestyle?
Okay. Well, I can tell you based on my rent. When I left Austin, they had just notified me, like if I were to stay, my rent was going to be almost $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom. I mean tiny.
Whoa.
Like you walk in, you're in the living room, the kitchen. There's no dining area. It's just a kitchen and a living room, a bathroom, and then a bedroom.
And that was in Austin?
That was in Austin, Texas, and not even that was like the outskirts. It was in Cedar Park, like a suburb of Austin. It's getting so expensive there. Okay, so they just notified me of that, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm not renewing.
How much was it before? How much was it before?
It was about, I want to say like 1,300.
So from 1,300 to 2,000, that's quite a jump.
Wow. It jumped.
Damn.
And for not much, like it was like not a fancy necessarily place. I mean, it
Yeah.
was safe and clean, which was all I was hoping for, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't one of these like resort apartments or, you know, it was nothing
Mm.
like that. Um, yeah, and then I moved here and I have an apartment probably at least twice the size. It's 2 bedrooms. So I have my office in one, and it's 2 bathroom. It was remodeled 2 years ago. I have I'm on the first floor, so I have a little kind of back area. It's concrete, it's nothing special, but still. Right almost in the town center, like not in the center, but right on the edge of the center.
Mm.
I have, you know, I can get to just about anywhere, either walking or bus. And it's half that,
$1,000. Yeah, seriously.
not even 1,000. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not just about saving a buck, but drastically elevating the quality of lifestyle. When you remove the stress of making a high amount just to have the roof over your head,
Yeah.
it makes life so much more easy, so much more
And then,
enjoyable.
especially if you're coming from the US, the cost of medical care
Oh,
drastically got slashed. I mean, I used to just not even go to the doctor, and I think a lot of Americans do, because it's like, well, what are they going to do? They're going to tell me I have something and I can't afford to do anything about it.
you know,
So,
in Canada, I was not able to get a doctor in Toronto. 5 years that I lived abroad for a few years and I came back. We moved to another part of the city, and I didn't want to go to the old doctor because it was too far. Toronto is massive. I went to pretty much all the doctor's offices, clinics. No, we're not taking any new patients, especially because of COVID. So me as a Canadian citizen, paying taxes and all that, I couldn't get a doctor for 5 years.
wow.
So I do my medical stuff here.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I left Canada, because if I can, me as a citizen that's been paying taxes for all my life, can't even get a doctor, forget
Mhm.
about it, you know?
Right. Well, me and my family have private insurance just because
Mm,
sometimes it's easier to get in quicker.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
um, so, but it's still like the cost of the insurance is way less than anything you would buy in the US. And you know, like I go for a checkup and it's 18 euros. You know, it's free if you're using the national service.
You know, I
So,
was looking for, to whiten my teeth in Toronto, would have cost me $2,000. And here, I kid you not, it's like 3 million dongs, which is 120 US dollars.
yeah, crazy.
Not even a tenth of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, cat is out of the bag. Um, leave
I
it,
think
leave
it's been
Canada,
out of the bag.
US.
I'm not exactly sure what, yeah, but
The cat has been
yeah,
out of the bag, but they're not letting the bag out,
that's right.
They're holding the bag.
My daughter, right at the beginning, we were here maybe a week or two. That's the other thing. My son-in-law had back pain for 10 years, and nobody in the US would look at him. They just assumed he wanted pain meds, right? And so they would just be like, go be on your way. When he got here, finally a doctor actually looked at him. Like they genuinely care about their patients.
Not just a number. Next, next, next,
And
10 minutes. Yeah.
my daughter was like, Mom, like she actually like touched him. She like ran
Called his
tests,
name,
like she,
looked him
yeah,
in the eyes. Yes.
person. And
Hmm.
turns out he had 3 herniated discs he had been living with.
Oh no.
So he got under some pain management, whatnot. But anyway, the point being, like, the quality of care is just so much different. And then the cost on top of it. And so then I guess he had like high blood pressure or something. So they put him on some medication. So I was with her when we went to the pharmacy to get it. And the lady tells her, they had given her the prescriptions like month by month. So I guess she could just fill one at a time if she wanted to.
Hmm.
And so she starts to fill one, and she asked the lady, well, how much is it? Because, you know, maybe I could do all of them or whatever. So she's like, how much is it? And she says, it was like, she goes, 350.
What?
Okay. So
350 euros?
our American brains immediately went, oh, 350 euros. Ooh. And then all of a sudden we're like, no, 3 euros 50 cents.
Wait, sorry, €3.50 for what again?
For a prescription for blood pressure medication.
In Canada, $3.50 would be even more expensive than the freaking parking ticket for the parking to park your car.
Yeah, well, I mean, but we were going by medical, like a prescription without insurance in the US, or even with insurance sometimes. It can be hundreds of dollars.
Yes.
I've been in a drugstore in Texas when this older couple, they were in front of me, and they told them how much their prescriptions were going to be, and it was over $1,000.
That should be legal, seriously.
They were like, we can't do that, and they left without their medicine.
That should be
It's
legal.
crazy. So we immediately, that's my point. Like we were in that mindset, and when she said 350, we're both like, oh, like for 1 month, 350. Like,
so that's 300. Even 350 would have been a deal, right?
huh?
Even 350 would have been a deal.
Even probably, yeah, probably. But then when we found it, it's like €3, 50. We're like, oh.
So wait a second. In Portugal,
he's like, I'll go ahead and get all of them then. Like,
of course. So in Portugal, as a non-Portuguese citizen, for example, do you get access to the same medical services that the locals would do? Is it free, or do you have to pay for it, or how does that work?
I think so. I haven't actually used it. I'm pretty sure it's free. I have registered for it. Most things are free. I heard that they might be changing it to where you have to pay a little bit of something if you're not a citizen. But I doubt, I'm sure it's not going to be.
Yeah, a lot more cheaper than nothing
Right,
like
it's not going to be cheaper. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. See, that's what I mean. Drastically elevating the quality of your lifestyle, not just by what you save, but just like you said earlier, being treated as a human being by the doctor. In Canada, you go there, you get 5 minutes, and the guy or the woman just tries to not even look you in the eye or whatever, just not even call your name. Just a number. They just try to squeeze as many patient in a day as possible. Whereas in outside of the West, outside of North America, doctors actually sit down with you, talk to you. Hey, get to know you a little bit. Hey, what's the problem? What is it? Why are you here? Oh, you're from the US. Why did you choose here, for example, or whatever?
Yeah.
They have human to human interactions.
Yeah.
You feel like you're a person again, not just a number.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Listen, this is a topic I'm very passionate about, and I'm so glad that we just did this conversation. We can do more. Maybe we can do another one in a few months. You can update us how things are going in Europe. I might be looking to get to Europe in the spring. That's one of my things on my list. But
come see Braga and fall in love with it.
now I have a reason to go to Braga. I have a good friend of mine there, absolutely. Yes. I will invite you to Bacalao, to Cod, just for you.
Let's do it.
I'm joking. But anyways, listen, Patricia, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Probably the best way is cosmicenergycoaching.com. It's my website. It's undergoing a revision right now, but that's and if you look for Cosmic Energy Coaching anywhere, it's my Instagram, it's my Facebook group, my Facebook page, everywhere. Yeah.
When I asked that question, what I was
getting on my email list, because you get 20% for being a subscriber off anything. So
when I asked that question, what I was expecting you to answer? Come to Braga.
Oh, come to Braga. I don't want everybody finding out about it.
A surge of flights coming to Braga,
That's right.
From Texas.
Patricia told us to come.
Where is Donna Patricia? Take us to Donna Patricia.
One day.
Wow. Anyways, listen, I salute you. You're treated with a heart. Keep shining, and you're a pioneer. I love, explorers, adventurers like you, because I'm like that. I've been like this all my life. So I always encourage people to go explore the world, because the world is so beautiful. Go where you want. US, Europe. For me, I've lived in 4 continents, 14 countries. So I love doing it more. And the more you travel, the more you realize that, hey, there's so much more to see. So go explore the world, go see the world. It's never been easier to travel. And if you have a business, to run it from anywhere, as long as you have good internet. So take advantage of that, guys. Listen, I salute you. Have a wonderful day ahead of you. Here it's 5:17 in the afternoon. Gonna go for a walk. So Talk to you very soon, my friend. Take care.
All
Ate
right.
Logo. Ate Logo. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.